Are now
We
live.
we should talk about just a little bit. In my childhood, um, I was raised by George and Mary Goody for most of my childhood, starting at second grade. My dad got married a little bit afterwards to Mary Goody. After that, her maiden name is Mary Block, and my first pet's name was anyway. So she got married. She changed her last name. I had a stepbrother and a stepsister after that. Of course, my other sister was adopted before me, and then I was adopted, etc., etc. So basically,
Wait, don't
the
you
the
have a
thing
sister
is,
named Mary?
yes,
And
they have
your
different.
adopted
They
mom's
have
name is Mary?
yeah, they have different middle names,
Okay.
which is how we tell them apart.
I don't know if I ever knew that, or if I knew that, I must have forgotten.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so the basic thing is, oh, what's funny? It's good, I think, that my stepmom changed her name to my adopted father's last name because if she hadn't, um, her last name Block would show up whenever somebody would get called by her, and then they'd be like, "Well, I'm not picking up." Um, but anyway, what I was going to say is, we were raised in parsonage next to the church that
Yeah.
my adopted dad would preach at, and every once in a while, because we had, at one point in time, four teenagers, all with a house that just had one phone,
It's a lot of hormones.
people would call over at the church to get a hold of us, or one of us would go over to the church and use their phone
Yeah.
because the phone was tied up. Now, you have a sister, I know. Do you have any other siblings?
Nope, just my older sister Jessica.
Yeah. Did you and Jessica ever get into fights over who got to use the phone?
We did not. Well, okay, I'm not going to say we did or didn't because I honestly don't recall. We probably
Okay.
did. However, my sister did get her own phone in her bedroom.
Oh.
Now, it was not her own number. She just had an extension to the family line in her bedroom.
Oh, okay. So
So
this
so it
is
was not unusual for me to pick up the phone and like find out my sister was talking to one of her friends and then have to like pretend I hung up, but then really like pretend to listen to my sister. I had to yell for me to get out the phone.
now kids today may not know this, but there was an innovation between the regular phone and the cell phone. Do you remember what this has been that people may not know about? Do you know what I'm hinting towards? That when your
Uh,
family got one, it was amazing and cool, and it was
could
like,
be one of many
ooh.
things. Caller ID, is that what you coming up with?
Oh, caller ID was good. No, I was talking about the cordless phone. All of a
Oh yeah,
sudden,
yeah.
you could
The-
take the phone
yeah.
wherever. You could also
Before
listen to them on police scanners,
before
which
that
was
before
interesting.
I didn't know that part, but before
Yep.
then you just had to have this absurdly long coiled wire that would always get tied up in knots.
And one of the things that would happen is when my sisters, for a little bit, my sisters shared a room, and me and my brother shared a room. And then eventually, uh, when my brother moved out, the playroom that we used to have got converted into another room for my sisters. I don't remember exactly when it was, but at one point in time, one of my sisters was on the phone in their room, uh, or no, they were in. Oh, this is confusing. So the phone was over here. They were in, I guess, my me and my brother's room for some reason,
Yeah.
talking. Um, oh, that would make sense. They were sharing the room at the time. One of them was talking on the phone and didn't want the other one to hear, so they had gone over to our room to talk and
Yeah.
closed the door. And I came running from the playroom because my parents called me,
Think I
and
see
I
where this is going.
clotheslined myself
Yeah.
on that cord, and it was it. I mean, full on run, a little bit of burn on my neck, both feet off the ground, slammed onto my back. It
Jesus Christ.
was crazy.
Yeah. Nothing like that ever happened in my house, but you have to remember, like, who knows, like, nobody, I don't think anybody younger, like that much younger than us, listens to us. But like, I know that Catherine listens to the show, and she's younger than we are, so I don't know. But I think she's old enough that these types of things might not have been as culturally relevant. But before the cordless phone was pretty ubiquitous, basically your whole family heard your phone conversations because the phone was in like a central room.
Yep.
And if you had to talk on the phone, you had to talk in the middle of the living room or next to the kitchen.
And you would sometimes code what you were saying.
You had to because
Um,
mom was standing right there.
okay, I think that this is relatively anonymous enough. Um, I heard a 911 operator discussing a call that they received. And it seems to me like it's a joke, right? It
Yeah.
seems to me like it would be a joke because they were like, "Yeah, this person called," and I said, "What's your emergency?" And they didn't talk to me. I was like,
Yeah.
"Hello, what's your
Yeah.
emergency?" And then they started talking to someone else, like their mom or something, and then they hung up. I couldn't believe it. And in my head, I was just like, "This person has called 911.
Yeah.
The person they're calling 911 about came in and they started pretending like they were talking to their mom on the phone so that that person didn't know that they
That's
were on the phone."
There are actually a couple of pretty like famous stories about women who have called 911 pretending to order a pizza. And
Yeah,
on these stories, the 911 operator is fast enough to realize what is going on and
yeah,
asks yes or no targeted questions that the
yeah.
person can answer. And
Like if
so,
you're in danger, say thin crust,
yeah, things
stuff
like
like
that.
that. There was another. I mean, this is all coming from the same area. The complaints about the people who are calling them not knowing where they are, like someone's calling to report a fire and they don't know what street they're on. How is that possible? Stuff like that. And it's like, well, you're driving you're driving to work, you see that there's a fire, you pull over, you don't know where you are. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems that it seems as though this person, if they are in fact 911 operator, wasn't like
I think they were a very
either
good one.
wasn't trained or there's some changes to being trained.
Yeah.
Is
I'm doing my I'm doing my DVD archiving project still, and I'm up to the
yeah.
P's. I'm copying The
Oh, the
Prestige.
Prestige. Ben, let's talk about the
So
Prestige.
I really got into when I
Spoilers
bought
for
this
the
DVD.
Prestige. Um, so the two twins, the twins, right? And the
Yeah.
Prestige. Christopher Nolan's Prestige. Two twins played by, of course, Batman. Where are they? Um, I know his name. I apologize. I know that he listens
Oh,
to the podcast all the
his
time.
I'll give you his
Um,
initials. Maybe that'll help you out.
okay.
CB.
Charlie Brown. Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I
Good.
like
Good.
Charlie Brown though.
Yeah. I don't.
Alfred,
Charlie
open
Brown
the
doesn't really have
Batcave. Good grief.
doesn't really have an iconic voice like Shaggy does.
No.
Oh,
He just has
brother. Oh,
but good grief. You
yeah.
block. Oh wait, no, that's Lucy who says you blockhead.
I've heard story. I used to have a bunch of Peanuts books, and now Jennifer has a bunch of Peanuts books. Probably some of the same ones that I used to have, but mine weren't mine. Mine were my parents,
I used to have a
right?
ton.
Whereas hers was. And there's a thing I remember reading where one of the kids who does the voice was at an airport and was talking to their parents, and somebody walked over and said, "Hey, how would you like to be a voice on the Charlie Brown uh, cartoons?" And
Was
I mistakenly thought that whenever I was in the airport, that stuff like that could happen. And I realized that I could have been abducted very easily as a kid.
Hey kid, come with me if you want to be a voice on the Charlie Brown show.
Oh, really? Or actually, hey kid, come with me. Oh, am I going to be a voice of the Charlie Brown show? Sure.
Whatever you want,
That
kid.
that's right, and it's me, Charlie Brown. Um, I do think about that, how the internet has ruined a lot of low-level scam things. Like I'm the drummer for Whitesnake, and then you actually can look up who the drummer for Whitesnake is and know that it's not that person, etc. Kayfabe, Ben. Oh, hey, have we talked about John Cena already?
Yes,
Turning heel. Did we talk about last time?
we talked about Jon Stewart's immaculate
Yes.
comparison of John Cena's heel turn on The
Now,
Daily
Ben,
Show.
how interested are you in professional wrestling?
Little to none,
Because, okay, when I
but we're
describe
gonna
a
talk about it
promo,
anyway.
do you know what that is? A promo for wrestling? Do you know what
A
a
promo,
promo is?
like a
Yeah,
promotional advertisement.
it's basically something that happens during a wrestling match, like or a wrestling a night of wrestling. A big star will come out, and they won't be wrestling, but they'll talk about how they're gonna be wrestling
Yeah,
someone, and they talk
they're
about things. So
promoting a
after,
future match.
yeah, after his heel turn, John Cena did, and I actually wrote to the person who posted this. Um, can you win an Emmy for a wrestling promo? Because it was great. He came out and he did this thing where he was like, I've been in a toxic relationship. None of you really like me. I've been used for 25 years. This is a horrible, I give everything and nothing is good enough for you people, etc. It was great. It was wonderful. And then, Cody Rhodes comes out and says, I don't know who this guy is, but I want to wrestle John Cena at WrestleMania, not whoever this guy is." And then he left, and then John Cena left, and John Cena did a very slow, very sad walk out of the ring. Everyone booing him. It was so like the the amount of hate that he was able to whip up for the people was amazing.
It's interesting. I'm wondering if his heel turn is going to affect viewership of the upcoming season of Peacemaker.
Oh, I don't know. I think
Like, do you think
most
there's
people
like I
know.
know wrestling fans get I don't want to call it the
Yeah.
joke, but wrestling fans are in on it, right? Wrestling
Yeah.
fans know what they're watching. But I'm wondering if there's a subset of fans who are so angry at John Cena they can't possibly bear to watch him in a new
I
TV show.
feel I feel like the people that are that angry might hate watch it anyway. When does the new season come out? I'm not
Soon I hope. I really
It's
enjoy
on
that show.
Max, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not Max is one of the things that I'm not on right now.
I haven't seen any release dates for it.
There's some things I was thinking about it, like what could get me to get Hulu again? And it's like, I don't know, if there was when the next season of Fargo comes out, it's going to be real tough. The next season of
Yeah.
Andor is tough for Disney Plus also, but I don't know. I feel like if I do it the right way, I should continue to watch, incredible movies rather than TV shows. Because I have TV shows. Um,
Apparently, apparently the Criterion store had a sale recently. I'm not
yeah,
tuned in, but I know some people who are angry. They're angry at Criterion for having a sale because it
yeah,
prompts them
no,
to spend money on DVDs
I
and
have the
Blu-ray.
same issue that somebody else was complaining about it. The same
Yeah.
exact thing, the same exact way. Um,
You know, it's funny. I went through this phase where I sort of like disowned DVDs, right? Where I like
yeah,
stuck them all in a box and I'm like, putting a DVD into a DVD player and sitting through all the pre-roll stuff is too much. I don't want to deal with this. I just want to stream stuff. It's easier. It's higher
Yeah,
quality. You know, because if you have good internet, I'm watching a legit at least 1080p copy, and not the 720 by 468,
yeah,
version on the DVD. Screw it. But now that I'm doing this archiving project and like revisiting all the content that DVDs have to
yeah.
offer, I'm like, you know what? I might go back. I might actually start like looking for used DVDs of films I really like.
Have we talked already about um, DVDs and AI? What might happen, and
What might happen with
that's
DVDs and AI?
yeah. So already the TV that I have, right, has AI features that, AI, quote unquote, right? I'm not talking large language model, chat GPT, anything like that. It just cleans up the picture, gets rid of
Cleans up the
artifacting,
picture.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not something that I can really control. You have to go deep in the menus to turn it off. And when you turn it off, the picture doesn't look as good. It's one of those things where it's not like using the internet to do anything. It's not like burning fossil fuels in China to do it or anything like it's just built into the TV. They call it AI, but it's basically interpolation for the picture, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Different method of like smooth motion.
I feel like eventually we are going to have things that play our DVDs where the TV is going to not just read the disc, but reimagine or refactor the disc in such a way that you're not going to be able to see, like, if you want that picture quality that you're used to when you were a kid, there's stuff you're going to have to turn off, like,
Yeah.
because what you're going to be watching instead is what the one of two things: what the TV manufacturer wants or what the filmmaker wants. And it's all going to depend on if they do that filmmaker mode setting. I've told you about that
Well,
before,
it's
right?
also, yeah, I mean, it'll also devolve into placing products where products weren't originally, to
Yeah,
replacing music because they didn't have the rights. They already do this with streaming
right.
services, but now once that reaches, like, when they're able to, when the TVs can do it to physical media that you are playing locally, that's a dystopian future.
Yeah, and it is possible that it will happen.
Which is
I'm
why I'm
not.
holding on to my dumb TV for as long as it'll let me.
I'm serious about it. That's it's gonna be a thing eventually. That having a monitor, and that's what it'll be, is that those will be monitors and TV will be, unless
Yeah.
they swap it, but and TVs will be their own thing. But yeah, exactly. You if you own the DVD, they assume that you own the source material on that DVD, and then it'll do, like I remembered watching a bad copy of Buckaroo Banzai. And when I say a bad copy of Buckaroo Banzai, I mean it's the original DVD that I bought, but
Yeah.
it's just, again, 720. What is it? 446? What did you say?
720
720
by
by
480 is the
480.
widescreen DVD
Yeah.
standard. 640 by
So
480 is 4 by 3.
yeah. So it was just that, right? Um, but because I had just gotten the TV and the motion smoothing was on and stuff like that, it looked really crazy.
Yeah, I
Like
bet it did.
not bad though. It was really interesting. I'm like, whoa, what is happening? And then I realized, oh, it's got all this stuff on. Now after I would like to watch it again and see what it looks like now that I've turned all that stuff on. But I haven't watched a full DVD, like, or an actual DVD rather than streaming for quite a while. I think
Yeah,
I think most of the stuff I watch now is streaming. Oh, by the way, you have Apple TV Plus, right?
I do.
Have you been watching Severance?
Yeah, I'm all caught up. Final episode of season 2 tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if you're all caught up, then I'm gonna guess dollars to donuts, Ben, that you have seen the previews for Dope Thief.
I have skipped the previews. I know Dope Thief is a thing. I know Brian Tyree Henry is in it, but I have not seen this previews. I've skipped them.
The reason I was asking about that is because I am actually watching the series now. There are 2 episodes that are done already,
Yeah.
and it's great. Him as a leading man, we could argue, and I don't think it would be that much of an argument that he was kind of a leading man in Atlanta anyway, right? He that was an
He had his
ensemble
leading
cast.
man moments. I mean, that was
He
Donald
was,
Glover's
yeah,
show, but he had
but
some arcs.
he's great. He's great in it. The story is really interesting. Um, yeah, so recommend. It's good.
I just started watching Dark Winds, this Netflix TV
Oh
show about
yeah,
yeah, Zon McClarnon is a tribal cop
yep.
in the Navajo Nation. It's really
We talked
great. I'm
about
really
we
digging it.
talked about
Yeah.
this last time,
Yeah.
and I need to pick it up. This is the but I'm ahead of you because
Yeah.
I'm
I've only
already
seen
in
2 episodes
season.
from season 1.
Yeah, yeah. Dark Winds actually, it's funny. I don't know if you know this, but that character was in a couple of different iterations. Like there have been other remakes of that property.
The source material, there's the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the differences between like how much supernatural stuff is in it is really interesting, depending on
Yeah.
where you from one to the other. But yeah, it's a good show, and I need to keep on watching it.
Are you watching Common Side Effects?
No, what
You
is
might
that,
not.
and where is it?
I think it's on HBO, so you might not be able to watch
Yeah.
it.
Who is it? What is
It's actually an animated show. Um and I don't know who the creators are, but Mike Judge is a voice on it. And
ah
so it's actually a pretty it's about this mycologist who grows a cure-all mushroom. It's
okay.
like bright fluorescent blue, and how the government is trying to track him down. So there's some espionage, there's some hippie farming.
Interesting.
It's actually a quality show. I've been enjoying it. I think
Yeah, if it's
I'm
HBO though, I'm
yeah,
not gonna
but
see it.
I
But
think I told you I finished watching Monarch: Legacy of Monsters.
oh yeah, did you
Uh,
like the end of it?
I don't remember the end of it. Uh,
That's always a thing that happens to me. I'm serious.
yeah,
I'll actually have to think. Part of it, when I was a kid, I would hate it when movies would end.
yeah.
And Betty is the exact same way. She would start crying when the movie was over. Um, oh,
Wow.
by the way, have you seen this?
Yeah, your
My
human
newest
pellets.
my newest human palettes? I think my favorite so far, mesquite barbecue is the flavor that's listed.
How many of those do you put in your feeding bowl every day?
You know what? I'll tell you, Ben. I just eat it straight out of the jar.
They look kind of like
I'll say this.
what is it? It's not Trix, but some other sort of breakfast cereal that's just orange, yellowish orange pellets.
Is there a yellowish orange? Are you thinking of? You're not thinking of peanut butter Captain Crunch, are you?
No, 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 no.
A yellowish orange breakfast cereal.
Yeah, it's like more yellowish than oranges, but it's like Trix, but without the
Corn
color.
Pops? No,
No, not corn pops. Although I do love me some corn pops.
not not Kix, right?
Kix might be what I'm thinking of.
Kid tested mother approved, less sugar than most.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
For
saw the
those,
commercials.
I used to eat Kix all the time. Um, in fact, do you remember? Like, okay, so for those of you who haven't listened to the podcast, for all, how many episodes are we at now?
473,
If for those of you who haven't listened to all 473
which is probably all of you,
episodes. Oh, by the way, Ben, before really,
unless you're Steven.
well, I'll switch over in just a second. But I used to have strange diets that I would eat. Um,
You? Yeah, I'm
sometimes I
familiar.
sort of, but was I in Seattle or had I already moved when I hit upon the idea of I would only eat things that I would throw into the air and catch in my mouth.
I
Like
don't
I had
remember
to
that.
do
I
that.
don't remember that phase of your diet.
I think it was when I was in Southern Illinois because that was around the same time that I came with the all soup diet where I had to I would only eat soup. Cereal was a soup. Um,
I
you know,
remember I
I
remember
liked
you
that.
having some sort of
It was
all
all right.
soup, sort of all liquid diet, and we finally got down to the fact that you were doing that because you had like a tooth issue.
I had a tooth issue. That's why I was,
You had a toothache. Yeah, I remember talking to you about like you were only ingesting liquids, and you finally admitted that it was because like you had a toothache.
huh, interesting. You know, this happens to me sometimes. Jennifer has occasionally said like weird stuff like the reason that we're doing X is because you refuse to do Y. And I'm like, I refuse to do Y? And she's like, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, huh, I don't remember that. And she'll just look at me with not rage necessarily, but like with a what?
resting rage face.
And then we do oh, I have to say invoked rage face because yeah, it's something that like I'll try to think of a good example. This didn't happen, but I'll use this as an example. And I would like we're driving to get gas at this place that's 30 miles away. Again, this didn't happen. I'm just making it up. We drive to
Yeah,
get gas at this place 30 miles away, and I'd say, why why are we driving 30 miles away to get gas when there's a gas station that's just like 2 blocks from our house? And she said, because you refuse to go to that gas station, we have to go to this one that's 30 miles away. And I would say, I refuse to go to that gas station. She'd be like, yes, you threw a big fit and said that we should never go to this gas station. I was like, I don't remember that. We can
it
go to that
helps
gas station.
and is infuriating when you have a partner who remembers things you say.
Yeah. And she's like, you don't remember saying this. I'd be like, no. And then eventually, you know, we start going to the other gas station, the closer one, and it's
Yeah,
fine. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I remember why we couldn't go to that gas station. There was a guy in a truck that was mad at me or something, you
yeah.
know, something that I completely forgot about. Again, this isn't a real situation, but that's the kind of stuff that she has to deal with every once in a while, where she makes a decision based on something that I tell her that seems unreasonable, but she goes along with it. And then later on, I ask her why she's not doing it the way that's more sensible. And I've forgotten that I was the one that is forcing things to go the other way. It's annoying, but it's something that she has dealt with for a very long time. And
Almost 20 years.
yes, 20 years this October.
Wow.
Oh, and what was the other thing that I was going to, oh, yeah. Ben,
Paul,
do you realize that we're a little over 1 year away from whatever it is when you're 150 years old, the or
you're
250 years old. Centennial is
oh
100 years.
right.
Bicentennial 200. the United States of America, if we will last that
If we
long,
make it.
uh, is going to be celebrating 250 years
Yeah. I mean,
at that
I
time.
know that because I was born in 76. So I am a bicentennial baby.
Wow. I remembered very little about the bicentennial. I
You were three.
was 3 years old. Um,
Actually, you weren't even three yet. You because I was old. I mean, you were three during the whole year, but you weren't three when I was born. You were still two.
but I was 3 years old in 1976 because
Yeah.
I was born on May 15th.
Yeah.
So you're a late bicentennial baby.
No, I'm an early bicentennial. I was born in March.
Oh, you're yes, early.
Well, I mean, if you want to look at
No,
July,
we're
whatever.
talking about we're talking about July. We're talking about July. So
Okay.
you're early. Um, yeah,
Technically, I'm not a bicentennial baby because I was born before July 4th.
yeah, I hope we last that long.
You
I really
pedants.
do. Um, I think it's possible. I think it's I don't know. We're
There's, you know,
starting to see some.
there's some backlash if you see any of these like Republican town halls about lawmakers who are still brave enough to do town halls in their districts
Yeah,
are basically getting shouted out of the room
the only
by
thing
those people
that
they aren't forcefully removing at least.
yeah, the only thing that I don't know about that is because I mean, you and I would agree, Ben, that when you become you know, a senator or a congressman or whatever, you are the senator or congressman for your entire district, no matter if people voted for you or not.
Yeah,
So
you
the
represent
question
the all the people.
the question that they bring up, or the thing that they bring up, is they say, well, obviously, the people that show up to my town hall and are yelling at me aren't people who voted for me.
Right.
The people that voted for
They're
me are all
paid
staying home
agitators.
because they're happy, and these other
Right.
people. And I have to say that there's something wonderful about this person that's mad at me isn't actually mad at me. They're a paid agitator.
Yeah.
And if I could somehow convince myself of that whenever I'm in a tough situation, I might feel okay about it.
There's a story. I don't remember what district, but there was one Republican congressman who was going to hold a town hall, but they were going to check the attendees' party affiliation at the door. So if you were a Democrat or an independent, you were not allowed inside this town hall for
Hmm,
your representative.
that seems bad.
It's not a
And
good look at the very
yeah,
least.
so let's talk about just really quick. I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, but did I ever tell you that in the early 90s, I was the treasurer for the campus libertarians?
You mentioned, yeah, you did you because you just like showed up to one of their meetings and they
No,
were like,
no. This is the thing. You're so close, but this is why I wanted to know if I had explained this to you. Um, so I worked at a Subway that was on campus.
"That's right, you
Subway
did
sandwiches.
explain
It was
that."
on
Yeah,
campus.
yeah,
Guy ran up to me, said, "I've got a filing deadline to put this in. I promise you never have to go to any meetings. You don't have to do anything. I just need you to be the treasurer for this." I'm like, okay.
and this is somebody
And
you did not know previously.
I didn't know him. And people said, "So wow, so what was that like?" I said, "I don't know. He said I didn't have to go to any meetings, so I didn't."
Right.
And I never, said, but I have to say, libertarians were at one point in time more fun than they are now. It was at least at the time they now granted, being fun and funny in a political, arena only appeals to me when there are draconian measures and nothing that I do matters. At that point in time, making a mockery of the political thing makes sense. That's not what the libertarians do these days. These days, they do, I think, cocaine and fraud,
Well,
but I don't know for sure.
they're the house cats of the voter rolls.
And listen, if you're a libertarian and you don't do cocaine and fraud, I apologize, but
I'll start my own political party with cocaine and fraud.
and the cocaine Ben, this is perhaps the start of the cocaine fraud party, which and people are like, so you believe in cocaine fraud? Well, no, it's cocaine fraud. A plastic bag full of powdered sugar, really.
Yeah,
Um, but still, I think that that's a funny name for a
I
political
just get
party.
high off the vibes, man.
So I feel as though I made this statement, and I think it's actually true. For those of you who listen to this podcast for historical purposes, so living in the future, wondering what life is in the early 21st century, it is March 20th, 2025. And the Democrats, or people who voted Democrat, I'll put it that way, are mad at the people they voted for
Yeah,
because they did not put up enough opposition to bill that was proposed by House Republicans to stop um, the government from shutting down. So the way it worked is that the House voted, all the Democrats in the House except for one voted against it, showing strength. But then when it got to the Senate, a guy named Chuck Schumer, I don't know who he is. Is he the majority leader of the
distinguished,
House?
yeah, the
Whatever, the
distinguished senior
minority,
senator from New York State.
um, did not uh, oppose it, started to oppose it, and then decided not to oppose it. A lot of people are upset. He said, well, they were going to shut down the government. And the critics are saying, well, they're going to shut down the government anyway, but now they're shutting it down with the approval of Congress.
Right.
Um, my general thought about all this, whenever anyone complains about anything that Trump is doing at this point, they're shutting down the Department of Education. It's like, okay, either you're on, you know, the side of whatever, and you voted against him, and yeah, now he's doing all the things you were afraid he was going to, that he said he was going to do, or if you're surprised and you had voted for him, and you're like, whoa, now he's doing this. I don't know what to tell you. Um, like I got all of my being upset out when he won because I was like, now all this bad stuff is going to happen. Now that the bad stuff is happening, I've got people who didn't think he was going to do this stuff coming to me and saying, I can't believe that he's doing it. And it's like, okay. And they're like, somebody should stop this. And it's like, well,
I mean, you
we
hear stories
we've
about people who
tried.
like Trump voters whose like immigrant wife was detained by
Yep.
ICE, you know? And even on one of those stories that I heard, the guy, the husband, the Trump voter, still did not regret his vote for Trump. So I'm like, well, there's more going on in that marriage.
Yeah. Well, in that case, yeah, exactly.
But
Um,
there was like back in his first term, there was this quote from somebody. I don't remember the specific instance, but it was this woman who complained like to the news agencies or was caught by a news camera about talking about Trump saying that he wasn't hurting the right people.
Hmm.
And like this middle class white Republican woman was inconvenienced in some way by his
Oh,
policies
yes.
and was upset because I'm a white American woman. How come I'm being affected by Trump's policies?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not what I voted for. I voted for all the brown people to be deported out of the country.
Exactly. Uh, Please no,
Don't take
no
that out
one
of
clip
context.
just that, and then yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean the thing is,
I'm
I'll
here at
be
the theater.
honest.
Chances are somebody just about popped in within earshot of me just saying that,
Yeah,
and now requesting their decision to work at this place.
I do not believe that I am in contact personally with anyone who's regretting their vote right now. And maybe that's just me having a bad relationship with some people, but I think that most of the people who are seeing what's happening right now are like, yeah, that I believe that the people who have sticker shock are out there. I've seen posts by them, but I don't know anyone that I can personally
I
gloat
think
at,
no, and it's gonna take a
and I
while
wouldn't,
first.
and I
It's gonna take a
wouldn't,
while
Ben.
for a lot of this stuff to actually get to the people that's going to affect the most. Like, let's say they do privatize the post office. Because that's something that they want to do. And if they are able to do that, well, these very rural voters in the middle part of like West Virginia or Tennessee, get ready to no longer get your mail unless you want to subscribe to the mail service for like, $350 a month because man, it's hard getting mail to your house out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. I feel as though, um, I don't know. I feel like if I had a mail service that I would have to pay for, and don't take that out of context. If I had a mail service that I had to pay for,
It's never the
I
right person.
probably, here's the thing, I probably would. I probably would because I like getting stuff in the mail. But here's the thing is if I do that, I should also get something for my money. And what I mean by that is shouldn't see any junk mail anymore. No, if I'm paying for it,
You got to pay more for the
yeah,
ad-free tier.
exactly. Oh my gosh, Ben. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 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 yeah. You just get flyers in every mail delivery that you get. Oh,
Yeah.
man, competition for mail? Mailzy versus Super Snail. I like Super Snail better because
You
there's
got to
no
get
package size limit.
you got to get Super Snail Plus because that
Yeah.
way the delivery person is more friendly.
And if they deliver the wrong mail to you, they'll take it away from your house. Uh, Otherwise, you have to deliver it to the other people. Here's something, and I'll talk about it because it's kind of making
Now I
me
got to drive to Renton to
mad.
deliver this misplaced mail.
I made a mistake, right? I bought something for my keyboard stand that wasn't the right size, uh, and I can return it, but I have to uh, take it to the post office and return
Yeah.
it rather than taking it into like Kohl's or whatever. And when I did that, they said, "Here, print out this label." I don't have a printer right now,
Right.
so I chose the option to have a label mailed to me. But the label is not mailed to me. I do not receive the label, and it's due on the 31st. And this is what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to just hold out because there's no way on the site to request a new label. It says that they're going to mail the label to me. If I don't get the label, I'm just going to cancel my return and just say never received label, and that's going to be it. I'm going to just shake my tiny fist. It's a 14 right now. The adapters on sale for $14.
Yeah.
So returning it is not going to be cost effective.
You
But I'm
know,
going to wait until the very end.
I've eaten so many charges just because it would be more annoying and not worth the time to try to dispute it or deal with it at all.
Yeah, I just don't know what I want to do with the thing now. You know what I mean? That's the
Take
problem.
it to the Goodwill. If you don't need it, just like donate it someplace.
Drop it in the trash.
Put it up for I don't know if your neighborhood has like a Facebook group or a buy nothing group.
Yeah, I don't know either. Um, oh, hey, here's something. Also, I'll just mention, um, Duolingo, that owl, you know
Yeah.
about him. Uh,
Oh
so
yeah.
I've stopped learning language with it, and I've started playing music, learning to play music.
Right.
And because I'm working on the mallet station and working to play that, um, so it has a little keyboard that you play along the songs on. And I used to have a hard time with it because it's not the size of a regular keyboard, it's not, all that sort of thing. And so
No
you
regulation.
yeah. And so they have a thing that you can do where you can buy a piano that hooks into it that costs like 200 some odd dollars. But I found out that I can hook it up to this guy, which is just a MIDI controller, and it's like 20 years old, but it works, right? No
Yeah, the
problem.
keys are yellowing. They got to go to the dentist.
Completely yellowing. It's crazy. Um, so so I did it and I played it, and I'm like, well, there's not a lag, right? Because I'm hooked into it with a controller and all that, but it just isn't the same as playing it on the thing itself because there's no like I can't describe. There's no tactile feedback. There's no like it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
I could hook it into the mallet station, but that doesn't work that well either. There's latency and stuff like that that could happen. And so I figured out what I do is I just put my fingers like this and I hit the keys like this because that fits the mallet station. For those of you that can't see, I'm just basically moving my hands back and forth.
With two
There's a
fingers, his index and
right
his
there's a
middle finger.
like put together so that they make
Yeah.
kind of mallets, and that's been working out really well. And what I've learned is it's harder to play with mallets than it is to play with your fingers on a piano keyboard in many different ways.
Do you have this? I have dreams a lot where I'm playing an instrument on stage and I'm not too bad at it. Like I
Yeah,
have had many dreams where I'm like, for whatever reason, I've found myself the bassist of a band that's on stage and I'm just faking it and it's not sounding too horrible.
yeah, I do have dreams. This is weird. I guess this is the opposite of the actor's nightmare.
Yeah.
But I have dreams that I'm playing a musical instrument and I'm good and I'm like
Yeah.
tapping, and I'm like, oh, this is how this works.
It's
And
it's interesting because I'll have those dreams with a stringed instrument, like with a guitar or a bass, and I'm just playing because I don't know, right? Now I don't know what I'm doing, and
yeah,
I'm just like playing, and it's sounding okay. If I have dreams where I'm playing the drums, which also happens a lot, it's not as good because that turns into not like quite an anxiety dream, but like one of those annoying things where I can never get like the drum thrown at the right distance away from the kick or the snare. Everything's always
yeah,
so far away, or I'm too high or too low.
I
It's
hear you.
weird.
Yeah. Um, this is going to sound kind of funny, but it's also true. Do you know why I'm learning the mouth station now? One of the reasons?
Not because Betty didn't want it, and now and it's expensive, so you want to
L-
justify paying for it.
Look, that's definitely part of it, but also my hands, Ben. My hands. I'm showing my hands here. Um, my pinkies and my thumbs at these joints right here are starting to hurt uh, when I do stuff with them. Jennifer believes that I'm starting to get arthritis. And I'm like, I can't be getting arthritis yet. I'm 52 years. Okay, maybe. Maybe that's happening.
Is it though? I mean, that feels too young. Although I do know people my age and younger who have arthritis, but there are other underlying health issues involved with that.
Like what?
Diabetes or
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
being overweight,
I am
things like that.
overweight. I mean, I weigh 250 pounds, Ben. That's a lot.
I said this before. You've got 100 pounds on me. I weighed myself this morning. I'm 158.
Hey. Okay, well, I'm a little less than 100
So I
pounds on you.
haven't been walking as much as I probably should, and
Yeah.
got to get that beach bod ready for the
Man,
summer.
do I do I lose 90 what or no, 80 some odd pounds to
I'll tell you,
get back to
that's actually kind of heavy for me. I normally wander around like 153, 155.
okay. So I could do it, but I'm worried about what the health things would be losing that much weight that fast.
Well, you don't want to do it quickly.
And I
You
can't
gotta
do
do
and
it
I wouldn't be able to do
properly.
my Santa thing then as much. Maybe I'll just lose 15 pounds, maybe 15.
Maybe consult your
But
doctor before you make
it's a
massive diet
slippery slope.
changes.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I haven't gotten a call back from my doctor's office yet. I might need to
I
switch.
auditioned for them 3 weeks ago.
Well, no, it was weird. They were taking patients, but they didn't have their schedule published. I don't know what that means exactly. So I may have to switch. I might switch to Betty has a doctor in the same place,
Yeah.
so I might switch
I need
to
to do that.
them.
It is past time for me to poop in a box again.
Really? Didn't you
Yeah,
guys
the
poop
last
in a
time I did it
box?
was a year ago, September. It's I'm really overdue.
Wait,
I just haven't
you're
been to the
supposed to do it
doctor.
every year?
Yeah, if you after between 40 and 50 as a guy, they want you to, or I guess anybody, they want you to submit a sample, or you can do a colonoscopy, and that lasts 10 years.
Oh, my goodness.
So
That's a
because I don't want to have a colonoscopy yet, I just do the pooping in a box thing
hmm.
and bring it to my doctor, and
And
I
my
should do
doctor's
that.
always like, "Why are you doing this to me? What is it for? What
Sir,
did
we
I
gave
do to
you a proper
you?"
container to provide this. You should really use that and not just a Tupperware.
Listen,
Hey, want to say
I
hi
don't.
to Paul Goody?
Oh, hello.
This is Catherine, one of our regular listeners.
Hey, Catherine. How's it going?
He says, "How's it
Oh
going?"
my gosh.
She
If
says, "It's going
you're
really good."
here, who's listening to the podcast? Ah,
If you're here, who's listening to the podcast? She listens about a week late. That's not
oh,
true.
hey, well,
You listen to a couple days after it's actually posted online. So,
okay, so Catherine, if you're listening, what you have to do is you have to go back to the office while you're listening to this podcast, and when you get to about a minute 55, oh wait, no, this isn't going to work. We'd have to put that at the beginning. Say, Catherine, you have
all
to
right.
put it in the show notes and say, Catherine, you have to come to the office about uh, 55 minutes in, and it'll be funny because then we'll say, if you're here who's listening to the podcast, but you'll be listening to the podcast. It'll be kind of awesome. I still do this when people give me their phones and have me call or when people have me call their phone
Yeah.
when I'm in front of them, so that I have their number in my phone, I'll often say, "Okay, now hi, say hello to yourself," and then they'll say hello, and then they'll have a little fun thing that happens when they
Yeah.
get the message. Pretty cool. By the way, Ben, just a shout out to Color Factory. I think I've talked about them before, but I just
Color
want to
Factory.
mention Color Factory, which is in the Sears Tower in Chicago, Illinois. Call it the Willis Tower, and
It'll always be in the
people
Sears Tower.
will, yeah, get mad. You don't want to make people mad, do you?
I was watching a video of somebody who was talking about the Chicago skyline and was talking about the Willis Tower, Sears Tower, and gave a shout out to that other building on the skyline that looks like the Sears Tower that people
Yep,
often mistake for the Sears Tower.
I believe it's the Hancock Building. I want to say that's what it's called. Yeah, because it featured heavily in the Will Smith movie Hancock.
Did
It's not
it?
why,
That's not why.
but it'd be nice
Because
if
that
it was.
building was a signatory on the Declaration of Independence.
I will say I was sad to learn that the Chrysler Building isn't in Chicago because of is Chicago is not Chicago. I for whatever reason thought that it would. But the other interesting thing is a lot of the places that he lists
Yeah.
in is Chicago is not Chicago are areas surrounding the Chicago metropolitan area.
I think he grew up
Elmira.
Saskatoon. I think
Yeah.
I think he grew up near Detroit, I want to say. I don't
Oh,
recall.
interesting.
I'll have to look it
Well,
up.
all I have to say is that I love living in Chicago. Chicago is great. Um,
You don't
it
have buyer's
snowed
remorse yet
today.
on your house in Chicago?
No, no. In fact, did I tell you already about the cool thing?
What's the cool thing?
I live near 95th. You know where I live. You've been to my
I've been
house.
there. Yeah.
95th is that street that uh, the Dan Ryan Red Line stop is at that we
Yeah,
walked
yeah,
up
yeah,
to.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you cross 95th to get to the door that
To
we
the
went
red
in.
line. Yeah.
Um, that corridor has just been there's a plan that's been adopted to revitalize that corridor, building some multi-use buildings,
That
stuff like
corridor
that.
has to gentrify the 95th Street.
No, and they were very specific about this. They did a bunch of studies on how not to gentrify it. And me, as a 52 almost 52-year-old white man living here, and I'm very excited about the things that they're doing, but in no way is it gentrifying the the area. No, it is not. And this is I will make this point: putting things in the area that are not abandoned buildings is not the same as gentrifying an area. We'll
No,
see
but
what
if they're
the
putting in
once
multi-use buildings, if they're, if the, what they shouldn't do, I don't know if what they're do, what if this is what they are doing, which is putting in over market rents apartment buildings, right? So people who currently live in the area can no longer afford to live in that area.
they they would be here's what I would say. If that's what they're trying to do, it is not going to work. And the reason I say that is because the area
Same
that
class
I'm in,
buildings. Yeah.
all of the all of the houses, because it's a neighborhood, right? All
Yeah.
the houses are owned, right? They're families that live in these houses. They're not going to move.
And the families that
And
live in the houses own the houses.
most of them, yeah.
Show
The
your
the
work,
way that
sir.
you the way that you well, it's what Jennifer told me. And she knows this kind of stuff. Most of the people who live in the houses own the houses. And so if you're going to try to change the demographics of the neighborhood by making people move out because they can't afford rent.
Well,
At least in the area where I'm at, that's not going to happen.
yeah, it's also it's not just rent, it's property taxes, right? So if
Yeah,
you get to the point where the property taxes are too expensive for the people who currently live there, they will
yeah,
be forced to move.
yeah. That is something that might be more likely,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. What a wonderful way to
And
end
on that
one of the
charming
best
note,
podcasts that we've
on that
had, Ben.
on that terrible disappointment, as Jeremy Clarkson
Uh,
says on the Grand
it's
Tour.
but it may not happen. Uh, oh hey, now Jennifer and I are going to be going to Home Depot to pick up more wood. Jennifer is doing a great. She's oh, this is the other thing. We're not going to be selling the house anytime soon. We're going to be
I
living
saw
here for a
the
very long
I
time.
saw the home improvement. She posted a picture on Facebook. I saw
Yeah,
the thing that she's building.
and someone when I told one of the people I work with that we were doing that, uh, she was like, "Well, how are you going to resell?" And we're like, "What do you mean? What
We're in
what
it for
on earth
life,
do you
my
mean?"
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, we moved. Um, I explained this is I don't know. I think they'll understand, but I explained to them that making it so that if it comes to pass that we can't work remotely for the job that I have right now,
Yeah.
they are going to make it so that I have to find a new job because I live here now.
Right.
And finding a new job is going to be hard, but it's not as hard as it is going to be when I move. And I think, well, we'll talk about this at what the I don't talk about work, but we'll talk about it after the podcast, Ben. At
Alrighty.
the again, if you want to hear what Ben and I talk about after the podcast, uh, join the Patreon that does not exist, or if it does exist, something horrible has happened, um, or become either me or Ben.
Become one of us.
If the Great Wheel is true and everyone is eventually everyone else, I decided to be Paul this time, but hey, maybe next time I'll be Ben. We'll see what happens.
And with that, I bid you a very well. Keep it wrong, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Ben. How's it happening? Keep it wrong.
How's that happening? Keep it wrong.